Uh, Good evening, everybody. It's nice to be back in New Delhi. I was here about 2 months ago, so I can see myself coming here regularly because I really feel much more at home here. And actually, we're based in the UK, and I know we understand a bit of the European hydrogen infrastructure, but today, rather than talking about the European hydrogen infrastructure, I'll rather talk about the world hydrogen infrastructure. We are proposing to the world what we call offshore, global offshore energy corridor. So I'll start now. Honorable Minister, distinguished delegates, industrial leaders, and colleagues, it is a great privilege to address this distinguished gathering at a time when the world finds itself at a crossroad. And the crossroad is either, are we going to remain using fossil fuel, or are we going to move into the green energy? The stake could not be higher. Energy security, climate urgency, economic resilience are all converging in a way that demands not incremental change, but transformational action. The theme of this keynote is energy democratization, which is shaping the future of the global energy. It is a call for action for every government, every institution, every enterprise represented here, because the question is no longer if we will transition, but the question, like my colleague said earlier, how fast, how fairly, then how globally can we transit to how globally can we achieve that one? Today I will speak about our new vision, which I said before, TBP, Global Offshore Energy Corridor. The corridor, in a way, we stretch from the East China up to the Atlantic Ocean by the Brazil, Chile, and everything. Technically, we can see it as another maritime route, but rather just shipping goods alone, this one is mainly for energy. But first, and also I will be discussing about the role which we believe India should play. We believe that India should actually lead the world in establishing that one, not just for India alone, but for the rest of the world. But first, let's talk about the global challenge for energy, not even energy transition. If we look at it at the moment, we are witnessing global energy paradox. On one hand, the technological solution for net zero is advancing, but in a gradual way. But on the other side, we have the geopolitical fragmentation and infrastructure inequality. And if you look at it, when we talk about the OECD nation, they are the one pushing and leading the green energy and pushing the scalability of it as well. But why the global south, which is home to about 80% of the world population, and by 2050 will likely demand about 70% of the energy worldwide, are seriously lagging behind. So we believe that even if we are talking about we need to save our planet, we need to move away from trying to, individual nations trying to push their agenda. We need to come up with a general solution that can cut across the entire world. We see a similar situation in the case of during the era of a computer mainframe, where it's only accessible to few big corporation, but now we are now seeing the world within probably 2-3 decades of where everybody can have access to the information. You have your PC, you have your smartphone, you have your laptop. So we believe that energy infrastructure should be like that as well. So these are what the TBP is talking about. Now, how do we achieve that? The first thing is that, like I said earlier on, we need to establish energy corridor, but offshore now. But if you look at it, about 70% of the Earth mass is actually the water, the oceans and the sea, and it's barely touched apart from the ship and few of the oil and gas mining on it. But now we believe that why don't we try and utilize that, especially when we talk about green hydrogen. If you look at green hydrogen, the key source is water, which is H2O, splitting H2 and oxygen to achieve hydrogen. But if you look at the seawater, that's H2O, and it's non-depletable. Then again, we look at, okay, what energy do we have to use to power or to split the hydrogen? Everybody, which I said in my last presentation, here in India are talking about solar and wind, but we all know that they are not reliable and they don't cover everywhere. So we are saying that once we are on water, why don't we utilize the ocean current, which keeps moving all the time from America, the Gulf Stream, to the one at the Equatorial Guinea in Africa, or probably the one on the Indian Ocean. So it's abundant, it keeps moving all the time. I'll quickly show you what we are looking at in terms of the energy corridor. Now the whole idea is that every region, you can see India, Africa, South America, yep, US is there, but while we don't really do much on the US now, we are still watching what the President Trump is going to do in terms of the energy policy for the US. European market, in a way, they have the North Sea, which we can utilize. And if you look at the Southern Europe, we can easily look into the Mediterranean Sea. But at the same time, if you look at the East China Sea, where we have Korea, China, and Japan, I think there is massive access to oceanic water there, so we can turn things around. Now, what we come up with is this, where it should be a standardized offshore adaptable platform. With this design, we can actually make it to be like part of the decarbonization process, which means that it can be, first of all, be utilized as oil and gas storage and refinery, meaning refinery plants. So it means that the same standard, whether it's in Africa or is in Indian Ocean, they have the same equipment to use. And also gradually we can shift it to hybrid and eventually to full hydrogen and synthetic production. When I said in synthetic production, we can look into carbon capturing. So we capture the carbon, then we combine it with hydrogen to derive whatever CH4, CH6, maybe aviation fuel, sustainable aviation fuel and everything. But we see that how we can actually achieve or shape the global energy transition that will be accessible to all. And now, and with that one, before I move to that, we look at, if you look at our design, the way we design it is that it can be mass produced, it can be produced anywhere as long as they have the coastline and they have something like concrete, steel, and for the platform, and it's modular. So it should be produced locally, sustainably, and also because it's a standardized platform, the price is going to come down. So it's going to be accessible to all. Now let's focus on India, because I'm in India now, and why we are focusing on India is not that because I'm in India, but we believe that India really has the capacity and they have what it takes to shape the world. Okay, that's the benefit. I've mentioned the benefit. Now, if we look at the India geographical location, which I mentioned the last time, is more or less, yeah, we can compete with Africa can say, yeah, we are the middle of the world. But India also is more or less in the crossroad between the East and the West. So we have the vast Indian Ocean there, which is an over 7,400 coastline and about 2.3 million exclusive zone. So in terms of developing offshore solution, I think India has ample of oceanic water to do that, from the north to the south. And that's part of energy democratization we are saying as well. So every region can have access to the same green energy or distribution. And in terms of the economic advantage as well, with the sheer population, probably the largest population in the world and third energy consumer, I think we believe that India is in the best position to actually drive the real energy transition. We've looked at some population in Europe, like in UK. UK is just about 70 million people. And yeah, UK can say, oh, we've got solar, is coming from the North Sea, and even that solar doesn't reach London or Kent. But with India of 1.4 billion people, I think when we are talking about mass distribution, India really fits in for that one. And now we are also, I'm going to talk about what we believe that India leadership in this transition, how could we achieve it, come up with a concrete way. Like my colleague mentioned about the strength of India when it comes to manufacturing, when it comes to deployment, when it comes to the number of youths, technology who are advanced and things like that. So we believe that with India championing this, everything we need to achieve, the world really needs to achieve energy transition is actually here. Probably between India and China, then we can bring the Europeans in to say, okay, then bring the expertise as well. But in terms of the resources, labor, advanced technology, India and China really has what it takes and at the same time, in terms of the diplomatic positioning, India has as well. We've been watching Prime Minister Modi, the way he's been going around and calming the whole world, and the world is actually looking up to him. So I think India really has what it takes to achieve that. And again, this is a new one that we are introducing because we say beyond energy transition. There is a new monster coming up at the moment, which I will say a great tsunami. But the world are not really talking about it, and that's the data center. Now we can see the Americans, President Trump, his agenda is to champion the AI and develop data center, but they are not talking about how to power the data center, or they are just believing that they will power it by fossil fuel. And the way the world is going, I think the data center might demand more energy than what we human beings are demanding, especially with the introduction of the AI. So one of the things we've looked at is that, okay, why can't we adapt the platform as well for offshore data center? Now, instead of looking for what we're going to use to power it, we will use the ocean current to power it. We use the hydrogen as a backup energy, so it's secured. And for cooling, because if you look at it, data center generates huge amount of heat. But we have the ocean water as well, especially the one beneath, to actually use it to cool. And if you look at it, Microsoft has tried it by putting data server in the ocean, and it's successful. But now it's like, let's democratize it now, not just for Microsoft, just like the way the mainframe was for IBM in those days. So now we believe that by bringing data closer to, and also if you look at it, we have President Trump just said that, okay, with UAE, they're going to build the largest data center outside America in Abu Dhabi. But the question is that what happens to Africa? What happens to the ASEAN region? But now if we look at it, is that if we use a standard format, it means that every region can have their own data center close to them. So it doesn't mean that every process has to first of all go to the US or go to Abu Dhabi. So in a way, it's going to advance the IT technology or AI future as well. And now the action priorities, which we're looking at for India or to collaborate with India, is that with the vast economic zone of India, that let's work into designated offshore energy zone, starting from doing pilot project research and everything before we go into mass production. Then also, like the last presenter talked about, the National Green Hydrogen Mission. I think there is a very good room to collaborate with them and to actually adopt it for the global standard. So whatever the standard from India, then the world can follow suit. That's the way we say it. Then part of it is also to look into public-private manufacturing alliance. We have companies like Adani in India. We can actually look into our design and go into mass production. And the mass production is not just for India alone, it will be for the world. So let's say there is a production plant in Africa, Adani can actually manage it for Africa. So that's the idea as well. And another one is for us to co-author the international policy framework with India government. So in terms of the hydrogen safety and also trade. But because of the geographical location of India, India is in a good position for energy export to Asia, to Africa, and especially to Europe. And the last one is that we are launching what we call Global Energy Summit 2000 Summit, which is going to be everywhere, and we are looking to start the Global Energy Offshore Summit, Corridor Summit 2025 in India. And we've been talking to GEEF for a while now, and I'm happy to say that GEEF has decided to collaborate with us to put the event in India, to put up the event in India. So I think I'll let Puneet say more about that. So my closing is that I'd like to close by saying that transition are measured not only by what we build, but by who we include and what future we choose. The TBP Global Offshore Energy Corridor is a platform. Yes, we know it's a platform, just like I showed it. But it's also a symbolica. It's also symbolica. It is a platform. It is a platform for partnership, for innovation, for shared sovereignty and global solidarity. We believe India is ready to lead, and we like India to lead. So we want every one of us here, let's support India in this leadership to shape the future. Thank you very much.